My name's Andy with Rigid Tools. I'm a territory manager with Rigid. There's another gentleman, Corey Karen, who we share the territory. But by all means, if you have any questions, whether it's directly related with tool question itself or any sort of billing question, anything that might come up, reach out to me. My card's on the table there. My cell phone's on it, email. Anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Going to go over, I understand not everybody obviously puts their hands on the tools each day, so there's different level of either interest or just current knowledge. But I'm going to just touch on some of the different tools that we have. I'm going to show a quick video right now of a new tool we have, a pipe beveler. So fits in right with your guys with steel pipe, and it will put the bevel with one pass with this tool on the pipe. So I'm going to show that. I commandeered your TV. And then after we go over and have lunch and go over this stuff, for anybody that wants to come out and see the beveler, we have it set up outside that we can bevel a piece of pipe. So I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, don't have our hands all over that.
I will. I'm all about the tools.
It's just a quick minute and a half.
Creating bevels can be a lot faster, easier, and more precise than this. Introducing a better way. The Rigid B500 Transportable Pipe Beveler. Its compact design easily mounts to the end of pipes and flat plate, allowing the operator to set up and create uniform bevels quickly and accurately in a single pass. A rugged cutting head bevels pipe without flame or sparks. The land depth can be easily adjusted to meet the job requirement. Interchangeable heads allow you to cut bevels at 30 degrees, 37.5 degrees, and 45 degrees. On pipe up to 1/2 inch thick and 4 inches and up in diameter, and on flat plates up to 1/2 inch thick. Speed monitoring with indicator lights keep the beveler moving at an optimal pace. Now you can easily achieve fast, accurate, and consistent bevels in one pass. Save valuable time and produce high-quality results with the new Rigid V500 Transportable Pipe Beveler. Request a free on-site demo at rigid.com/beveler.
Alrighty, that was I just took that off of YouTube. And one other thing just to point out, so rigid.com, the website, is a great website either for your own reference or if you have a customer that has a question about something. Each product, whether you guys do a lot of work with our pipe threading equipment and roll groovers, each item is going to have its own section. It's going to have a manual underneath of each tool. It's going to have a parts list underneath of each tool. And for example, these are just two excerpts out of one of our threading machines. This is our head trainer out in Elyria, Ohio. So if you were on rigid.com under one of the threaders, one of these would pop up. This is him changing the dies in the die head. Sometimes customers need a little refresher on how to remove the dies or insert the dies. So just use it as a resource. Know it's there to tell your customers about. Sometimes they just need to be pointed in the right direction with something as simple as that. Or obviously I'm here to assist in any way. But just to point out, rigid.com is a good resource to go to with either questions on the tools, manuals, parts lists, things of that nature, or training videos. Just to touch on the beveler again that we just talked about. This is from marketing department. I'm going to see if there's a spot downstairs on the counter that this can be set up there just to let customers know that it's out there. A lot of customers haven't heard of the beveler yet, and anybody that's specifically grinding with the grinder, putting the bevel on, it's a no-brainer that they're going to want to look at this tool. So it can be used in a fab shop at a company. If it's a larger fab shop and they have their own plasma cutter, well, they might not need this in their fab shop, obviously. maybe they can use it out in the field, or there's other smaller companies that use this as their primary means of beveling in the fab shop. So it can be either used in-house or it can be used out in the field.
Do you have extra of those by any chance?
Of the sales sheet itself, or
The
this?
sales sheet, is that, or something that maybe we could photocopy and give to all of our outside guys to use as a tool to show when they're calling on customers?
Absolutely. I have these specifically that I can order and send to you.
Okay.
I also have electronic copies that I can send out. In this video here, I also have a link to the video
Okay.
that I'm going to forward out.
Think, I get it. Video link.
Exactly, video and link together. I'm just,
I speak Andy.
Gotcha.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So I'm also going to forward that out.
That would be cool.
Because
Maybe
just to
you
let,
shouldn't
because
appreciate
customer might hear of a beveler, but until they really see it, they don't know exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
that's probably something I'd have interest in. And then this will be down, at least if there's a spot out at the counter.
We'll make a spot,
that,
yeah.
that we can put
do
it
that.
on there, because it also shows obviously the bevel. So,
Yep.
So all right, that's the pipe beveler.
Thank goodness you didn't take that vacation day. You were here to get that permission.
It's
Exactly.
my job.
I'm digging away. So that's a pipe beveler. Just to touch on, I obviously don't have any of the threading equipment or the 700 power drives. We do have a current promotion. It's a Fab Up promotion, so it touches on a lot of the tools that you guys interact with your customers on, whether it's the tri-stands, the 700 power drives, I think the 300 complete. The 300 complete, you get a free set of dies. 535 threading machine, you get the cart, the stand. So these are all giveaways to the customer, the end user, and really it's all up to the customer to follow through. It's nothing that you as the distributor have to bring in and hold their hand with. You can obviously give them as much help or as little help as you think they need, but free product for different purchases that they make. The beveler is also on here. The beveler has 6 inserts, cutter heads on it, and it's a free set of inserts with the purchase of the beveler. So it's about a $300 value or so. So I'll leave some of these, and then I'll also forward the electronic copy as well. We'll do that. I'll also, while I'm talking about stuff right here, I literally just received this, I think probably on Friday. Don't know too much about it, to be totally honest. It's a strap lock pipe handle. So it's a new tool that for PVC pipe, it will hold and carry 3-inch to 8-inch pipe. And it says it securely grips plastic pipe from 3 to 8, allowing force to be applied consistently in all directions. Simplifies the installation and maintenance of larger diameter plastic pipe. So honestly, I don't know if there's something else on the market that's already doing this, whether this is, very unique, and then how much interest there will actually be, but just so you know it's out there, and going to start promoting it as of today. So plastic pipe holder, 3 to 8 inches. So we'll see how that goes. So obviously you interact a lot with our tools in regards to hand tools, the pipe wrenches, threaders. Another large area that you guys interact with your customers with is our ProPress tools. So just to touch on the ProPress tools real quick. This is the RP340. It comes with jaws from 1/2 inch up to 2 inch. And then you can also get another set of jaws that allows it to go up to 4 inch. So this tool will go from 1/2 inch to 4 inch. It crimps the copper fittings onto the copper. So if we just turn this on, I'm going to show you real quick. And we'll just slip this one over on this end. So you just push the fitting on, open up the jaw, the tool's turned on, and you just press the button and hold it down until it stops, about 5 seconds. And that's it, and you've made your connection. So, prior to customers doing it this way, they would use the solder and sweat the fitting on. Hospitals, maintenance facilities, your local plumber, your mechanical contractors, Everybody knows about the ProPress. Obviously, there's other competition out there, say like Milwaukee. They have their ProPress tools as well. We've had ours the industry, started basically with our tool in the industry over 10 years. This is the 340. We also have two smaller tools that do from 1/2 inch up to 1.25 inch. Great tools for service work. One of them is this style, the pistol grip, and the other one's a little bit more elongated tool. Actually, it looks similar, if not exactly like this style right here. They will both accommodate 1/2 inch to 1.25 inch heads. Great tools. The only area that I obviously point out to customers is there's no room for growth with the smaller tools. You're limited to the 1.25 inch max. So if they ever think that they're going to be getting into jobs that require, say, 2 inch or more, then they're really going to want to strongly consider the RP340. Another benefit with the RP340 is you can do what's called Mega Press. So Mega Press is for black pipe. We were obviously just talking about the copper pipe. So for black pipe, 1/2 inch up to 2 inch, you can use a similar type of fitting that just crimps on instead of doing, say, your threaded fitting. So simple, the same 5 seconds it took to do this fitting. So instead of breaking out your threader and getting all oil, all over the place, you can just crimp. Obviously, the customer is paying more for their fittings, especially with the Mega Press, but the time savings on jobs is astronomical, and a lot of jobs, a lot of the cost of the job is your labor. So if you're saving on labor, then to spend more on your fittings obviously makes sense. But it is a separate set of jaws to use for the Mega Press, because of course they can't make the fittings accommodate the same set of jaw. That would just, how are you going to make money off of that? So Mega Press jaws. Once you get up into the larger jaws for either copper or for Mega Press, the way it works is that you actually put on what's called an actuator onto the end of the tool. So this is not crimping the fitting itself. You actually put this ring, this is a 2-inch Mega Press fitting. The larger 4-inch copper fitting is also similar in that it's a ring. So just imagine that you had this being a 2-inch fitting. You're going to put this around the fitting, and then you're going to actually use this area right here to crimp. The nice part about this is it gives you another pivot point, because the head pivots here, but then this also pivots. The reason for this is you just get too large a head, once you start getting up into the larger sizes. So you would just crimp it the same way, whereas so the actuator is just applying the pressure to the ring, which is in turn applying it to the fitting. So that is the Mega Press, but then also the larger copper fittings, like I said, require the larger ring. Any questions on pressing tools, either the larger tool, this is the 340, goes up to the 4-inch, and then it also accommodates the Mega Press. The smaller tools are either the 210 or the 200, which will go from 1/2 inch up to 1.25 inch. And they all run off of the rigid 18-volt battery, which is the same for the camera equipment. Right here, runs off of the 18-volt battery. An electrical tool I'm going to show you, same battery, runs off of the 18-volt battery.
How many presses till the machine needs to be serviced?
It's about 38,000 crimps until it would have to go in for recalibration.
You counting those crimps, Sean, when you check the tools back in.
Most.
How do you know when you're at that point?
Awesome question. It will actually indicate to you on the lights here. It'll flash and tell you that you're getting close to that point, and then after it gets to that point, it'll actually shut down. But it will tell you, when you're, 5,000 crimps away, basically from that point. So it tells you on the indicator light.
Well, I would doubt it because
It's-
if it shuts down, I
it's
think
a
our
lot of-
customers are gonna be.
No, I meant if, when he
The
checks it
indicator.
in, there's the indicator light. I was just curious.
Yeah,
We
it'll-
rent several of them out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're, as you know, they're great tools. Customer loves them. My brother-in-law is a plumber in New Jersey, and he uses one. And he, it's great with the rental. It gets him comfortable with the tool. A lot of guys find out that the time that the tool is most valuable is in emergencies, and they can't necessarily rent it, at 12 o'clock at night because.
Yes, I'll get up out of bed.
You'll come on down. Hey, you're gonna pay for this? All right, we'll get it. You're gonna buy some fittings? Great.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, that for you guys, that's where the big money is on the fittings. You
Yep.
make some money on the tool, but really you want them out there using the fittings. But yeah, because you don't have to drain the whole system, you can still have water coming through the system. Depends on how wet you want to get and whether you're able to get, say, you had a valve. As long as the pressure wasn't too much that you couldn't get the valve on there, you could slip the valve open, crimp it, and then close the valve, and you've stopped your problem. So they're great, absolutely great. Just to touch on, I just want to stay time-wise here. Camera equipment, very expensive for customers to bring in. You could spend $10,000 or so on a setup for camera equipment, which is why I always recommend, it's what I demo the most, is if anybody ever comes across a customer that's interested in camera equipment, by all means, bring me out. This is my demo equipment, and I've got tons more than just this little setup right here, because you want to make sure the customer is getting a camera that hits, at least 80% of the types of lines that they're doing. If they're doing 4-inch lines, 4 to 6, this is rated from 1.5 to 6. But if the customer sees 1.5 in the book, it's gonna physically fit through 1.5 as long as it's a straight shot. So don't think that you're getting around a trap or something with this camera with an 1.5 line. If they need something for 1.5, well, they're going to need a different camera than this one. So there's always trade-offs because the bigger cameras have a thicker push rod that's going to allow you to push the camera further. But maybe it's not going to get around as many traps or a 2-inch trap as, say, a smaller camera would. All the cameras have the same connection. So they could have 2 cameras, a bigger one and a smaller one, and just have one monitor. So, if they know they only have one truck and one person using it, well, they don't necessarily need 2 monitors. They can use the same monitor, runs off the battery, and they all record on a USB card. So if it's a facilities maintenance place, they can keep track of, the last time they imaged something, or if they had a problem, or if it's, a large plumber that's doing work at somebody's house to replace the line, you can, save it and send it to them. Municipalities can, document, different streets that they're working on. So that's the monitor, and you can take still photos, video, record your voice. The other large part of the diagnostics equipment are the locators. So these both will locate. All the cameras have a sonde which transmits a signal in the head at a 512 frequency. These will pick up that frequency and put you right over top of the camera head. They'll tell you how deep it is, and they'll tell you, this one will tell you which direction the camera head is lying, obviously indicating which direction the pipe is lying. So, in these, a lot of customers can get a little afraid of how to use these, but it's really simple. More than happy to come out and obviously show any customer, specifically the locator, because I don't care what camera you have, as soon as you get into the muck, you're not going to see anything. You can't see once you get in there that, okay, there's a broken pipe. You'll be able to push it maybe to that point. That's when you then need the locator to put you over top of it and tell you, okay, well, where do I need to dig? So this is probably the equipment I demo the most, besides some of our new equipment like the beveler and this electrical tool. But it's the ones I feel most passionate that the customer really needs me there, because I don't want them making a $10,000 or $15,000 mistake and then coming back and saying, hey, the book says this. Well, let's see what's best for you in the real world of how it's going to work. So that's just really quick on the camera equipment that we have. And we have camera equipment that'll go down to a 3/4 inch line, very specialized, maybe like pool companies, or Pico requires some of their subcontractors to use this nano camera that will do small lines for some of their gas lines. And we can go all the way up to, say, a 12-inch line with the camera equipment. So that's the camera equipment. Drain cleaning equipment, I didn't bring in any of the drain cleaning equipment. What you need to know, there's either drum machines that house the cable all inside the drum, and customers are either drum customers or they're sectional customers. The sectional are pieces of drain cable that you actually physically clip together in sections of, say, either 7 feet or 15 feet. And some guys are sectional guys and some guys are drum guys, and whichever way they tell me is the way that I'll show them which equipment that we have. We have smaller sink machines that you can, like a little handheld machine, just to clean, sinks and traps inside, or larger machines to clean the outside lines. So it's all available, here to support you with that, but didn't bring any of that stuff in. One area just to touch on, I know you're not necessarily an electrical wholesaler or distributor, but all larger mechanical companies, facilities maintenance, they all in some way get into electrical. Some get into it more so than others, but it's always good to have to present to them. I've had some hospitals that tell me, no, we'll outsource something at that point, and some hospitals say, yeah, that's a great tool. So it all depends on the facility or the company, but just to touch on it, it looks like one of our press tools. It's the RE6 electrical tool, and there's 3 different heads that are interchangeable that will go on it. It's got a little slip cover. This is a dialless crimp head, so on the end of the wire to connect it, they put a lug on it, and this will crimp from 8, which is smaller than this, up to a 750 lug, which is probably about the diameter of this opening right here. Just to show you real quick, and this is a dialless head, so there's some companies that make dies that fit inside the crimp head. A lot of utility companies maybe have to use those. A lot of your electricians or facilities maintenance, they don't need those. And this is much easier for them because they don't have to worry about choosing the right die or losing a die. And what happens here is these 4 pins just collapse on the lug to secure it. This one's already secure, but just to show you, we'll just do it again real quick. So you just hold down the trigger, and there's no guesswork on how long you do it for the size lug. It applies the right pressure, and then it releases, and then you have your lug on there. I've already cut this, so I'm not going to bother cutting it again. But there's a separate cutter head, and once again it cuts up to 750. And then another nice new addition is a punch head. And so if you have your electrical panel, you have to punch holes in it. This will punch from 1/2 inch up to 4 inch hole in the side of the electrical panel. And this is brand new. When it first came out, this had just a straight punch head on it, which was, if there was really only one downside to the tool when they came out with it, was the punch head, because it was too long. If you have electrical panels, you can picture maybe at your house or somewhere, if you have electrical panels on the wall, if you have a couple of them next to each other, they don't put much room in between those. So that was too big to get in there sideways. So now what we have is our swivel head. So all you need is this amount of room basically to get in there in between the panels. So this allows great access. It'll twist this way, and it'll also punch stainless steel. So that is the electrical tool. Went over electrical, beveler, camera equipment, touch time drain cleaning, ProPress tool, our new strap wrench. Any questions? Keep in mind Rigid.com as a good resource for either training videos for customers, just to try to, as your first point of contact to try to answer a question or just to look something up. Also, they'll have on there the different promotional flyers, but I'm also, should be the resource for you on stuff like that I can forward stuff like that. From our distribution center, I can order a box of catalogs and the different flyers and things, and I think a lot of times people just tend to email them off to customers too. So I have electronic copies on that.
On the customer service side, when you expedite or we're getting back an acknowledgement that gives us a date, are there any plans to better that system at all?
It is, and it's a great question, very accurate question, because sometimes they're not accurate dates.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. So yes, it has been everybody. It seems like everybody yells about that, both externally and internally. Everybody knows internally that there's an issue there with sometimes when dates are given, that they get pushed out a week. Okay, then that date comes and gets pushed out 2 weeks, and you just can't do that. The best answer I have to give to you is that they know it's a problem, and I would never, you just can't take that date as, written in stone, as much as that's not a great answer. I always say to distributors, don't promise to your customer off of that date, because then that's going to create issues for you with the customer that then obviously I'll get involved and take any sort of heat that comes from, the customer. But unfortunately, and sometimes they're good, with the date, and other times they just can really mess you up because they'll put they might even say it's not good, not available for a month, and then that month will come up and be like, excuse me, we're tacking another month onto it. And at that point, it's, well, my customer's already been waiting a month,
Well, and often they're waiting because they have a specific thing they need to use it for, and we're holding up their jobs. And I mean, we would just like to have some sort of valuable information.
Exactly. And I'll throw you this, and I'll say, as soon as you come across, or if anybody's going through your back orders on a weekly basis or anything like that, if you want to bring something to my attention, by all means, just send me an email and say, hey, can you keep an eye on this, or can you talk to customer service about this? The only problem with that is I'll definitely do it for you. I'll absolutely follow up. But to answer the customer service, and I have one person that's in charge of the sales force that we go to, and she'll say, well, let me check with the planner for who's ever the planner for that tool or that motor or whatever it is. So then she gets an answer back from the planner saying, we expect them this date. Well, even when you're getting stuff from the planner, sometimes things change or something, because we don't necessarily make all the parts that go to everything. So we're reliable, or we're relying on whoever that manufacturer is to supply us with those parts or something. So, but the best I can do is say, don't, promise off that date, but also get me involved. And I'm not necessarily going to be able to, expedite it necessarily, but I can at least, try and help the best I can. And
I just kind of feel like in this day and age, the last one I got involved with was...
Do you know what it was? Was it a ProPress tool at all?
No. No, it was some sort of cart, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Or an oiler, maybe.
Okay.
And it went months.
Yeah.
Where we just kept getting no, and then the reasoning, I won't say excuse, was that whoever you were getting XYZ part from couldn't tell you when. In this day and age,
But at that,
I don't know.
But at
But how
that
many
point,
parts
you're
are
better
coming
off
to
not
us?
giving the biggest issue I have with it is if you're going to give a date, well then you're asking for trouble if you're not getting it, with inside, a reasonable time of
Yeah.
that date. So to me, they should almost, it still is not a good way to run a business, but you should almost not even put a date on there, which then you're going to be questioning about, well, when can I get it? But to me, the biggest headache is, and I think flaw or fault on Rigid, is that they actually give a date and then it could still be a month after that date. I understand things get back ordered. But the biggest issue I have is when, say, tools like our ProPress tool, which they fixed the problem. We got an email the other day, because all companies, and you guys probably are no different, that you try to run your company without enough inventory, but not, there's always a fine balance of inventory of, at the end of the month, what do we have on the shelf, what are we paying for that, we don't need on the shelf. So, and Rigid was running things too tight, where if they got a large order, say, from like a Ferguson of the world, for like 100 ProPress tools or something, or more than that, well then that struck our inventory negatively to affect everybody else. It's like, well, this is our I'm pointing to this is our electrical, but our ProPress is our biggest growing market. We could grow that probably easily 20% a year almost. And to not have inventory for that, you're killing yourself. So supposedly they have, when it comes to the ProPress tools, they fix that. One thing I run across sometimes is, odds and end motors for, say, a 1224 threader or something like that. Sometimes they get, those get backlogged and dates change on that stuff. But when it comes to our core, like a solid, just a ProPress tool, it's like, come on, you got to keep more on the shelf. So.
Well, as long as we're being heard, because sometimes
Yeah,
I think that's
well-
been a frustration, is we don't feel like, we kind of walk away feeling like
Well,
Rigid saying, oh, well, it'll happen when it happens, deal with
right.
it.
Another
And I don't
thing
like
to
that.
keep in mind is when you call customer service, dial extension or option number 2 and then number 3. You might want to write that on my card or your piece of paper there. Option number 2 and then option number 3, and you will end up in Elyria, Ohio. Otherwise, you could end up Philippines or something like that.
Oh, that would not
Yeah.
be a pretty
That's always
story
what I
if I
dial
got
too,
the
then,
Philippines.
So,
Then I'd be calling you.
yeah, we don't need that.
And I will speak in a different language that you have not heard the
So-
likes of.
So that's why anybody I come across that could potentially be dialing into customer service, always option number 2 and option number 3. That'll get you connected to Elyria. So those would be the big things. And don't hesitate to give me a call if you have something that you're either questioning could start becoming a problem. Give me a call right away, and I'll see what there is I can do. So.
Everybody write that on your cards to call him before I have to get involved because he doesn't want to talk to me. Seriously.
That's okay.
Yeah, if it got to her, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm here to support with whatever I can. Go between, and especially if something comes up with a customer. Absolutely, and I would hope that you probably do this anyways. I'd rather have to, put myself out there as the bad guy rather than you guys getting any sort of heat for, something being on back order. I'm a big guy, I can take a lashing, hopefully I don't have to, but, try to be professional, and I'll obviously give them the best answer I got and try to support them any way I can. But unfortunately, sometimes things come up in life, but that's my role, is to be there to support both in the good times. It's like that marriage thing, both in good and in bad. You're there to support. Hopefully, the good is much more outweighing the bad. But let's, for anybody that wants to come out and see the Beveler, it's an awesome tool. Come on out. We'll do that, and And if you have any questions that come up either today or tomorrow, today obviously catch me, but anytime in the future, give me a call. It's my cell phone number on there, and then my email.
Can you look at our threading machine before you leave to see
Absolutely.
our head seems to be loose when they're trying to cut pipe?
Okay? Yep. Is that the one that's kind of around the corner,
Yes.
out far there? Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. I'll go take a look at that. Looks like maybe, I forget what it was, 535 or 1224 or something like that.
I don't know, but someone came down from Williamsport. We
Okay.
got the new one, we got the used one, so
Oh.
we don't know if it's, if
Yeah.
it's operators or if it's really supposed to be like that.
Yeah. No, that'd be easy.
I don't think
at
it's
least to take a
operator,
look
right,
at it.
Joe?
I don't know, I have a problem with it. So it must be operators. Yep.
All right. Tighten this down for the smaller pipe or to open it up for the larger pipe. That's the only adjustment you need to make. You can also open it all the way, and it'll also bevel flat plate. So either one, we're just going to attach it right on the end. One other thing, this is the 460-12 pipe stand. A lot of companies have the 466 pipe stand. So I tend to use the 460-12 for my demos because a lot of guys just don't know it's out there. It's got the adjustable leg on the back, and then obviously the number of the 12. It means that it can accommodate up to the 12-inch pipe. There's the cutter head insert in here. Pretty much everybody gets the 37.5 degree for the bevel. And there's 6 interchangeable cutter inserts. You can change those around 4 separate times. They have 4 separate cutter heads on each one. And you can get, it's at least a quarter mile of cutting or bevels out of the inserts. So depending on what size pipe you're doing, it will depend on how many different pipes that you do. But I'm going to just place this on the end, clamp it down, and I'll go through, I'll bevel it. I'll bevel it once with not taking too much material off, because you can adjust the land width, so you can adjust how much material you're going to leave for the welder. And then I'll stop and look at it, and then I'll start it back up on the bevel once more, and I'll just take it down to a fine point, basically, for the bevel. And the one thing I will say is, I'd say I'd either stand over on that side or kind of behind me, because it will throw some straps just off in this direction. That's a perfect spot right there. So it's about 50 pounds. I usually just kind of press the good old belly up against it to hold it. Then I'll just crank down on the handle here until it pinches and gets nice and snug. So you just do that by hand. Just make sure it's up against the face of the pipe, which it is. Take out your hand crank. You're just going to give it about 3/4 of a turn just to snug it up. And then this adjusts your land width. Increments of 1/32 for land width. Put this in the back. This is what you're going to use to crank it around. And it goes back here. You can see it's got indicator lights on it for whether you're cranking it at the right speed. The red says, okay, just slow down a little bit. You're cranking too fast. I typically don't get into that area. Typically, if anything, I could be cranking it faster. So, and then the yellow means that you can speed up. So I'm going to just start this up. Just come over and check and look at it for a second. It didn't take too much material at all. Now it's down to basically a point. We just put a little bit of a bevel on there. but you can always take more material. You can't put it back up. So I'm going to just unlock this. Put it down to 0. And you just let the cord wrap around the body. There you go. And it's cool. It's cool to the touch after you do it. So it is, and as you can see, if you're somebody that's doing this on a day in, day out basis, especially if you're using a grinder, once you see this, you say, oh, come on, boss, can we bring it in? Can we bring it in? So now, it is important to get as good a cut on the end as possible. I had a scrap piece. You know, if you have somebody, if you're cutting it with a torch and you have somebody that's new to cutting it with the torch and you get a lot of, you know, waves or chunks taken out of that, really not going to do very well on that. But if you have, you know, a nice cut like this is, because it uses the face of the pipe basically as a guide for going around. So that's the V500 beveler. It demos wonderful. You know, once you bring it out and if you find the right customer, whether it's a large industrial boiler repair company that's got to do repairs on site, say at a facility or something like that, or larger mechanical companies. One other thing just to touch on that I also just received. I haven't even opened this up yet, but this is a stand that will go on top of the tri-stand. And so then you will mount the beveler actually to this stand. So you're mounting the beveler onto the tri-stand. And what that's for is for anybody that needs to do small nipples for, like, you need at least 2 inches of material. 2 inches of material. So if you have a small piece, say like that piece, if you saw it up on that was holding that card, say a small piece like that, you'd actually put that piece inside. You use the same hand crank on the back. Actually, there's an extension in there. Or there should be an extension for the hand crank. So then, instead of the beveler traveling around the piece of pipe, as we did right here, it's actually the pipe itself, the small little piece of pipe, that's going to rotate itself in the jaws there to do the smaller pieces. You need at least 2 inches of material. So anybody that you can drum up and show it to, we're all for it. You know, Rigid, any new products they come out with, whether it's the electrical tool or this tool, they put a lot of pressure on you that you make a success out of it. So we'll travel, you know, basically as far a job as we need to, even for one demo that we think, you know, has a slight responsibility. That's about all I have. But please, just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help any way I can. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it does nice stuff.